Mattapoisett areas. Just want to double check that we are.
Christina, it still is in effect. They canceled it for Bristol County, Massachusetts, so good there, but in effect through 11:35 for Eastern Massachusetts.
Okay, so it's beginning to slide east, and it's now heading up towards Briarwood Beach into the Wareham area along, again, that 195 corridor. Winds in these areas are getting quite high. Of course, we can't see the entire picture and how much of those winds are actually reaching the surface. It does look like winds are upwards of 25, 30 miles per hour, but that's for everyone. Right in the center of the action where there is that potential for a tornado on the ground, those winds are much, much higher with the potential to do some damage. It's why you need to get into the interiormost part of your house because flying debris is an issue right now, like Anthony mentioned just a few moments ago. We're going to take another live look from our New Bedford camera for right now where you can see the storms off in the distance, although that storm is beginning to track its way further east. Just loading up some graphics here. That tornado warning still in effect as it moves east, heading into Plymouth County as we speak. And although it's not in the tornado warning box, we still have incredibly heavy and steady rain in the North Falmouth to Falmouth areas, heading into Mashpee and into Barnstable as well. We're talking about frequent thunder and lightning, but it's the area that we are most concerned about. It's just around the Buzzards Bay area and into Wareham where we can see those lightning strikes, quite numerous in this area. And we'll go back to that velocity tracker, which is really what helps meteorologists find or identify a tornado on a radar scan. Now, this is our latest storm relative velocity scan that just updated. It is weakening ever so slightly, but we still have the red and the green coming together with bright colors. That basically indicates to us that potential for a tornado generally in the 195 area. We see it between Marion and Wareham. I'm going to zoom in here for you, and we can see that that is most definitely a possibility. If you are in this area, you need to be taking shelter. If you know someone who is working in this area as well, they also need to take shelter. And I believe meteorologist Anthony McCarry is going to join us just now with some other tips for staying safe in this tornado warning. Anthony?
Yeah, Christina, for sure. If you are in the path of this cell like you were mentioning, and anyone you know, any relatives, you want to get into the lowest portion of your home, away from any windows, if at all possible. You can see the tips here on your screen. If you have a basement available, certainly going to be the best spot to be, if not shelter under something sturdy. If you are in a mobile home, it is not a safe space to stay. You need to get to somewhere, a sturdier structure, a home nearby, or a sturdy building just in case. Now, as Christina has been telling you about, we still do have this tornado warning that is in place. Again, it's been extended, now continues into portions of Barnstable as well as Plymouth County through 11:45. No longer in effect for Bristol County, but of course still concerns there. Now the rotation, like Christina has been mentioning here, there's been maybe some encouraging signs. It is not as broad as it has been, but the bright, very bright green that we're seeing here, even if maybe the tornado has weakened, if it is in this specific spot, you can see how bright the green is on our velocity scan. So these are some strong wind gusts, likely at least over 50 miles per hour, if not associated with the tornado. But again, it is moving east of 195, southern portions of Wareham at the moment in East Marion, continuing to make its way toward Cape Cod. Of course, it's not there just yet. We'll show you the latest radar scan. Anywhere within this yellow is still a severe thunderstorm warning, and that red box we're drawing out here is the tornado warning. And right in here where you've got that little hook into the radar is where the tornado would be positioned at the moment. So again, southern portions of Wareham moving off toward the east, need to be in a sturdy portion of your home. Frequent lightning associated with this as well, not necessarily right with the tornado, but what of course would make it difficult to even spot in a situation like this is the fact that we are seeing heavy rain associated with it. It could be rain wrapped and therefore not necessarily visible. In fact, from New Bedford looking east, we actually have some sunlight that has been popping out in other portions of southern New England. Again, I do anticipate some improvement as we head into this afternoon with those temperatures starting to warm up, but we're certainly not there just yet. So just to refresh where we're seeing at the moment, this is the latest velocity scan showing the winds coming to and from our Taunton radar site. When you see the red and the green very close together, this is where the tornado would be positioned. It started initially in Mattapoisett, moved toward Marion, and now into Wareham, continuing to work its way eastward. Eventually could be approaching the Bourne area. So right along the start of Cape Cod and into Plymouth County is where we are tracking this at the moment. So if you have relatives that are in the area, if you're here yourself, That's why you want to head into the lowest portion of your home right now. Crank up the volume of the TV, have a way to get some of the weather alerts on your phone so you can keep up and, of course, continue to stream us online, and we'll continue to give you this coverage as this storm is moving through. It's not just, of course, the tornadic activity, it's also the potential for some torrential rain. We've seen some areas pick up between 1 to 3 inches of rain out of this cell, and this warning is expected to continue at this point for, again, another about 8 minutes, but it's possible. We've seen it extended already. That certainly still could happen here. So here is just a look at those tips. Again, basement, inside area, away from windows if at all possible, lowest floor of your home. This tornado warning is in effect through 11:45 in the morning, but it has been extended multiple times already. And of course, we are seeing this rotation still present here, but again, it is still not as broad as we would like to see. That's why this tornado warning is still in effect. So we're continuing to see it. Christina, have you potentially heard of any damage reports at this point?
Anthony, no, I have not heard any damage reports yet, but this is a difficult situation like we've been mentioning because there is so much torrential rain. I mean, like you said, 1 to 3 inches worth of rainfall in just a short amount of time. It's very difficult. I've been showing some live cameras even within the past hour, and you can barely see anything out there because of how heavy to torrential this rain has been, so that makes it very difficult to see anything. We are continuing on with a severe thunderstorm warning into Barnstable County, Dukes County, and Plymouth County, Massachusetts, although we still do have this potential for a tornado warning in the Wareham areas where those reds and greens come together. That's from Wareham and Marion, south of Wareham as well. And this is going to continue to track east-northeast. So it could get close to areas like Onset into Bourne, although we may start to see that fizzle out a little bit. We are still seeing some rotation, though, around Wewiantic and into Wareham, Massachusetts as well, and it's now actually approaching that 495 corridor. So again, more of a weak rotation. It is still there. We still have that tornado warning in place, and again, we still have that in place for about 6 more minutes. I'm gonna bring that up for you right here. Also, we are getting some damage reported. I'm going to be bringing you guys some of that information. Actually, meteorologist Anthony McCarry will be checking in on that for us. Still along that 495 intersection where we could be seeing that rotation. One other thing I want to show you, as Anthony was talking, I was taking a closer look at our velocity scanner, which helps us identify some areas of rotation, and I'm still keeping a close eye on the Falmouth area as well, as we do see some very, very broad rotation. Of course, the best rotation that we're seeing right now is up towards the Wareham area. Yes, the latest scan now a little bit lighter for us, so we may start to see this expire shortly. We are still seeing inward and outward winds of around 40 miles per hour now moving into Wareham and South Wareham as well. However, this is continuing to weaken. I'm keeping a close eye on whether or not this will be expiring. But again, if you were in this area, Wareham south towards the coastline, out towards Onset, and now moving into the Route 25 and 495 corridor, like if you're heading out towards the Cape, for instance, you need to get off the roads. You won't be able to, again, likely see any tornadic activity because of how cloudy it is and how torrentially that rain is coming down with some thunder and lightning. So just be aware that we have that possibility of roads like 25 and 495 being impacted here. We're continuing to track this in the Wareham area. I'll zoom in here for you, but again, this is now sliding further northeast into East Wareham. Definitely starting to see some improvements here. Still very, very gusty winds. I wouldn't be surprised actually if we're starting to see some power outages. If some of my producers wanted to just take a quick check and let me know in my ear if we're hearing of any power outages in the Wareham area. However, still a very dangerous situation with this warning in place. It's that red box that you see here on the screen, which is right along 495 and 195. All this has slid off towards the Wareham area. Still torrential bands of rain, and that severe thunderstorm warning I just mentioned is now extended out towards Falmouth and through the Cape. And this is for that frequent thunder and lightning and the potential for some flooding because of the heavy to torrential rain that this entire system has been producing. This actually encompasses all of the outer Cape. I'm going to query this box We're starting to get some damage reports rolling in from Mattapoisett as well, so we'll take a closer look at that in just a moment. We're going to take a close look at this severe thunderstorm warning. It's for Barnstable County, Dukes County, and Plymouth County out towards the Cape. This is a severe thunderstorm warning, so that compares to our tornado warning, which is shorter, likely to get expired in the next few moments. So we're going to be sticking with you until we see that expire, because we are still dealing with an area of rotation. Definitely seeing some good signs of improvement, but again, we are hearing of damage reports, and even though I keep repeating that this is weakening a little bit, you still need to stay in the most interior part of your house, under something stable, in the basement if you can, away from windows and doors. Flying debris is an issue with this, even though, again, we are seeing some signs of improvements. We did earlier see some debris on some of our on our radar imagery that Anthony was showing us. So that means some items on the ground, whether it be debris from trees or even patio furniture being lofted in the air. Again, seeing some improvements around the Wareham area heading east. And we are definitely seeing that now move into that Route 25 corridor heading into East Wareham. Very busy roadway, especially if you're heading out towards the Cape or from the Cape. 195, for the most part, looks like some of that broad rotation has come to an end. Meteorologist Anthony McCarry going to pop in here. What do you have for us?
Yeah, Christina, as you had mentioned, the one thing I have not seen any pictures yet, but we are getting reports of that potential damage that had happened in the Mattapoisett area when this tornado warning cell came through. Of course, we are still under that warning. It has not expired just yet, but look at the torrential rain that is still showing up on the radar in the areas you were just talking about. So Wareham right now, all of eastern Massachusetts, right along to the coastline into Cape Cod, seeing the torrential rain, but it is within this red box that we are still technically under this tornado warning for 2 more minutes. We'll certainly keep you posted as to whether it is extended. Have not heard word just yet. Still some lightning strikes associated with it, potentially not as much as we had seen previously. And there is rotation being indicated by radar, but potentially not as tight as what we had seen earlier. We had some deeper reds, some brighter greens associated with it. Now, again, still crossing Route 25, as you mentioned, in East Wareham is where this potential tornado is. It has made its way from Mattapoisett through Marion, maybe even touched right along northern portions of Buzzards Bay there before ending up where it is presently. But there is the likely indication that the rotation is weakening. Perhaps if there had been a funnel cloud, it is lifting up. But still, this warning is still in place, so you definitely need to use caution if you're in this area. Take shelter in the lowest portion of your home for these next 2 minutes as this tornado warning is in place. Again, the concerns here are from the falling and flying debris that are being tossed around by this cell. So make sure you're in the basement, interior portion of your home, lowest level without any windows. And even then, be under something sturdy, such as a large table, just to keep yourself safe. And if you are in a mobile home, that is not a safe place to be. Here northeast of this area into Plymouth County right now, this is where you want to be taking shelter and getting into a safe place. Again, not a mobile home as the cell is moving on through. So we'll take a look at the latest velocity scans. This is storm relative, so it takes into account as the storm itself is moving in that east-northeasterly direction. Now, again, this warning is still going to be in place for another minute or so. We'll have that update to you shortly, but torrential rain is associated with this cell stretching all the way into eastern Massachusetts. We've been recording some frequent lightning strikes along with this as well, but it's been a little while here. It started right along the Bristol County line and now has moved east. Now, we just turned the clock here to 11:45. Christina, you can confirm for me, but it looks like the tornado warning has expired, which is great news here, likely relating to this rotation being, well, a little broader than it had been presently. This is what the latest scan is at 11:45. So, of course, here at Storm Team 10 and with the National Weather Service, been looking at it. I do not see as tight rotation as previous, which is good news.
Yeah, Anthony, we have been getting in several reports from the Mattapoisett area that we have multiple trees and wires down. So even though that center of rotation, that tornado warning has expired and been dropped, so we are seeing some improvements there, likely no more tornado risk in this area. The road of El Dorado Drive in the area of 157 North Street, we could be seeing some trees and wires down, so likely the chance of some power outages in this area. We're also hearing several reports of flooding in the New Bedford area. So even though this risk is coming to a close, make sure that you are not driving through any standing water. And I'm also continuing to track an area of broad rotation in the Mashpee area toward Popponesset. So if you're in this area, we are still dealing with high winds, frequent thunder and lightning. And coming up during the noon news, I'll continue to track these storms as they move their way offshore. So be sure to stick with us on air and online. And again, if you have any storm reports, videos or pictures, and you can send them to us safely, please do so at turnto10.com/chime in or on our weather app. Thanks for joining us. 11:46 now is the time, and we'll see you here at noon.